The wind outside the cafe was gentle, but inside Emily Carter's heart a storm was tearing her apart. She sat at the small round table holding her trembling fingers tightly together, trying to hide the bruises life had left on her spirit. Her little daughter, Lily, sat quietly beside her, twisting a tiny toy duck in her hands. And across from them, sitting with a calm, steady presence, was the man she never imagined would change her life. Daniel Brooks, a man she had known for only 3 weeks, yet someone who made the world feel a little less cold. From the moment she walked in, her expression gave everything away. She looked like a woman carrying a secret so heavy that one wrong breath would shatter her completely. She had come prepared to push Daniel away before life could hurt her again. In her mind, she had already decided that happiness was something she wasn't allowed to keep. The moment the words slipped from her lips, "Men don't like single moms," she felt her heart drop like a stone. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that restore faith in people, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more heart-touching stories to life. Emily had once dreamed of a simple, ordinary life. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, she imagined a quiet home with soft curtains, warm dinners, and laughter echoing through the halls. She imagined love that stayed. But dreams don't always survive the weight of reality. At 23, she fell in love with a man who left her the moment she told him she was pregnant. The abandonment carved something deep inside her, a belief that she was too much and not enough at the same time. Raising Lily alone became her new life. She worked long hours at a nursing home and juggled bills like fragile glass. On the outside, she remained polite, calm, and soft-spoken. But inside, every day was a silent battle against loneliness, exhaustion, and the fear that her daughter deserved someone better than a struggling mother who barely held herself together. She learned early to keep her heart guarded, to smile even when her chest ached, and to never expect anything from anyone. Daniel entered her life gently, like sunlight slipping into a room through a crack in the curtain. He was a carpenter from Michigan who had recently moved to Columbus for a project restoring old buildings. There was something steady about him, something grounded. The first time he met Emily was at the nursing home where she worked, when he came to fix a broken handrail. She remembered how he knelt down to talk to one of the elderly patients with respect and patience. She noticed the kindness in his eyes, something rare, something she had almost forgotten existed. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen, but the feeling terrified her. So she ran from it every time he came near. It took him weeks to convince her to have coffee with him, and even when she finally agreed, she brought her daughter because she didn't want to pretend she was anything other than what she was. A mother, first and always. Now, sitting here, she regretted saying yes. The cafe was quiet. Sunlight faintly touching the glass walls, and the clinking of cups around them felt too fragile, too intimate. Emily looked down, afraid to meet Daniel's eyes. She was tired of hoping, tired of pretending she didn't want someone to sit across from her like this, tired of imagining Lily laughing with a father figure who might disappear in the morning. She needed to cut this before it became something. So she said the words she had rehearsed 1,000 times. Men don't like single moms. She expected Daniel to nod politely, maybe offer a soft apology, maybe shift uncomfortably before pulling away. She expected him to leave. That was what people did. Lily shifted in her seat, looking between the two adults with innocent curiosity. Her tiny curls bounced as she leaned forward, sensing her mother's sadness. Emily gently squeezed her small hand, hiding her pain under a thin smile. Lily had been the only light in her darkest nights. Emily remembered the nights she cried silently so her little girl wouldn't hear. She remembered skipping meals to make sure Lily had enough. She remembered the shame of standing in grocery store lines with coupons and counting change. These memories shaped her belief that no man would willingly walk into the chaos of her life. Daniel watched her quietly. His eyes were steady, not surprised or uncomfortable. He saw the way her shoulders trembled slightly even as she tried to look composed. He saw the bitterness in her smile and the exhaustion under her eyes. And something in him shifted. Not in pity, but in admiration. He thought she was one of the strongest people he had ever seen. He admired the way she protected her daughter, the way she worked without complaint, the way she held her pain like a shield. But Emily didn't see her own strength. She only saw the pieces of herself she believed were broken. The silence between them grew thick. Emily felt her heart pounding. She waited for him to stand and leave, but instead, Daniel leaned forward slightly, his expression calm yet serious. Emily didn't realize it, but something extraordinary was happening at that moment. Something that would break down every wall she had built around her heart. When Daniel finally spoke, his voice was steady in a way that made the words strike deeper than anything she had expected. He told her that she was wrong, not in a confronting way, but in a way that carried weight and sincerity. He said he respected her more because she was a mother. He admired her strength, her sacrifices, the way she nurtured her daughter alone. He told her that being a single mom wasn't a burden. It was a sign of courage. Emily felt her breath catch in her throat as he continued, telling her that anyone who didn't see her worth wasn't worthy of her love anyway. He wasn't leaving, not because she needed help, but because he had already begun caring for her and Lily in a way he couldn't ignore. His reaction shook Emily to her core. For a moment, she couldn't move. She blinked rapidly, trying to stop the tears forming in her eyes. She wasn't used to hearing words like these. She wasn't used to someone looking at her and seeing something beautiful instead of something inconvenient. She wasn't used to someone wanting to stay. She felt exposed, vulnerable, but also strangely relieved, as if someone had finally reached into her chest and lifted a weight she had carried alone for too long. Lily, still unaware of the depth of the moment, reached for Daniel's hand with her tiny fingers. He smiled softly and held her hand gently. That single gesture, innocent, pure, natural, made Emily's heart ache with both fear and hope. She had seen men pull away from Lily before, uncomfortable with responsibilities they didn't want, but Daniel didn't pull back. He looked at the child with warmth in his eyes, as if she wasn't an addition to the picture, but a central part of it. Emily wiped a tear from her cheek before it could fall. She felt her breath trembling, her heart beating faster, and her defenses beginning to crumble. Daniel's words kept echoing in her mind. She didn't know how to respond. For years, she had lived with the belief that she was a burden, that her value had diminished the moment she became a mother. But now, someone sat across from her saying the exact opposite, seeing beauty where she saw flaws. They talked for almost an hour after that. About life, work, Lily, dreams, fears, and little things that made them laugh. Emily found herself relaxing for the first time in a long time. Daniel wasn't rushing anything. He wasn't trying to impress her. He wasn't pretending, he was simply there, present, sincere, and open-hearted. And that sincerity slowly began melting the walls around her heart like sunlight touching frost days turned into weeks. Daniel didn't disappear. He didn't fade into the background like others before him. Instead, he showed up constantly, not in grand gestures, but in simple, meaningful ways. He would drop by the nursing home with a coffee for her during her shifts. He would stop by on weekends to take Lily to the park so Emily could rest for an hour. He didn't step in to replace anything. He simply added warmth to the life they already had. Emily found herself looking forward to his visits, to the calmness he brought with him, to the way Lily adored him. But with hope comes fear. Emily had moments where she wanted to pull back. She feared losing him before she even fully had him. She feared letting her daughter get attached. She feared letting her heart believe in something that might break her again. But every time doubt crept in, Daniel met it with patience. He wasn't rushing her. He wasn't forcing anything. He was quietly allowing her to heal. Months passed, and slowly Emily learned to trust again. She watched how Daniel treated Lily with gentle respect, how he treated her with tenderness and admiration, how he brought stability into their world. One evening, at a quiet park near the lake, Emily finally allowed herself to admit that she wasn't alone anymore. She realized she had found someone who didn't just love her. He loved her world. He loved her child. He loved her strength. He loved the parts of her she thought made her unattractive. And for the first time in years, Emily felt worthy of being loved. As the sun dipped behind the trees, Daniel took her hand, not with urgency, but with warmth. And Emily knew deep down that this was the beginning of a new kind of life. Not perfect, not easy, but hopeful. She understood then that love doesn't always arrive in fireworks. Sometimes it comes quietly, like a calm voice after a storm, telling you that you are not too much, not too broken, not too late for happiness. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.